My sister broke my $2,500 wheelchair as a joke, so I took her to court. I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I've been paraplegic since I was 18. An accident changed my life, and now I rely on a custom wheelchair that cost me $2,500. It's not just a chair. It's my independence, my way of getting around, my freedom. My family's always been close, or at least, that's how it used to feel. But then there's my sister, Sarah, 27, always the jokester, always looking for a laugh. She's the kind of person who thinks every moment is a setup for her next big prank, no matter how anyone else feels about it. A few weeks ago, we had a family reunion at my place. I was hosting, which meant dealing with the chaos of my relatives piling into my house. I like seeing everyone, but it's always a lot. And then Sarah shows up late, already smelling like she'd had a few too many drinks. She barged in with a goofy grin, loudly making her usual round of jokes. Some of them were alright, others just felt like she was trying too hard. But that's Sarah. No one calls her out, and she never seems to notice when her jokes cross a line. It started with little comments. Sarah threw out a few quips about how she wished she had a cool ride like mine, gesturing at my wheelchair. Everyone else just laughed awkwardly, shifting in their seats, but I could feel the air in the room change. I tried to shrug it off. This wasn't the first time she'd said stuff like that, but then she decided she needed to get more hands-on with her jokes. Sarah strutted over to me, grabbed the handles of my wheelchair, and started pushing me around the room like we were kids playing with a go-kart. She even made engine noises like this was some kind of game. At first, I thought she'd stop if I asked. So I told her, "Hey, cut it out, man." She just laughed louder, saying she was lightening the mood. Nobody else said a word. They just kept glancing around, some trying to pretend like they didn't notice. I looked at my parents, but they just gave me that look that said, "Just let it go." But I couldn't. So I told Sarah again, firmly this time. I wasn't playing around, my chair isn't a toy. Sarah smirked like I challenged her and said, "Relax. I'm just messing with you." And then she got it in her head to try something even more ridiculous. She tried to do a wheelie with my chair. Yeah, you read that right. She yanked back on the handles, trying to lift the front wheels off the ground. I shouted at her to stop, but she just kept going. Then it all went south. She couldn't keep her balance, and the wheelchair tipped. One of the wheels landed hard on the floor with a loud crack. I barely managed to catch myself as I tumbled out of the chair, but my focus immediately snapped to the wheelchair. The right wheel was bent out of shape. The frame was twisted. It was trashed. The room went dead silent, and for a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, Sarah would realize how badly she'd screwed up. Instead, she just shrugged and said, "It's not a big deal. I was just joking around." She didn't even apologize. My face was burning with anger, but all she could see was her own embarrassment. I demanded that she pay for the damage, but she just threw her hands up and said she didn't have that kind of money. Some family members jumped in, trying to play peacemaker. My aunt said, "Sarah didn't mean it. She just got carried away." My uncle thought I was blowing things out of proportion, saying, "You know how Sarah is." But this wasn't about how Sarah is. This was my mobility, my independence. And now I was stuck using a manual backup wheelchair that's a literal pain to get around in. It's clunky and way harder for me to move around in, but I had no choice. I kept pushing Sarah to pay for the repairs, but she just kept saying she couldn't afford it. It became obvious she thought I'd just drop it and move on. But after that night, I couldn't just let it go. A few friends who'd heard the story couldn't believe how Sarah acted, and they were the ones who helped me see my options. They pointed out that if Sarah wouldn't take responsibility, I could take her to small claims court. At first, it sounded extreme. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just about the money. It was about holding her accountable for once. So that's what I did. I filed the paperwork to take Sarah to small claims court for the $2,500 to cover the cost of a replacement wheelchair. Word spread fast through the family, and the reactions were all over the place. Some said I was taking it too far, that I was going to ruin the family over a stupid mistake. Others, mostly the ones who'd been on the receiving end of Sarah's pranks before, thought she finally needed a wake-up call. But for the first time, I didn't care what they thought. I knew I couldn't back down this time. I could tell Sarah wasn't taking it seriously, though. She sent me this smug text.